At 11:03, so I'm going to start the meeting officially and welcome everybody here today for the Podman Community Cabal meeting, rather. Today is Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. We have two topics as of now that we're going to be discussing, both from Paul Halsinger. The first one's about the Go formatter, and the second is the drop-in config file loading behaviors. And Matt, I think you had a little talk that you wanted to do as well after that. And beyond that, we have plenty of time for questions, I'm going to guess, later in this meeting, and I am going to hand it over to Paul. It's all yours.
All right. So the first topic, we discussed it in the team previously, is what Go formatter we would want to use in our repos. Currently, we have a mix between the official Go FMT formatter that is part by the standard Go toolchain, basically. And then there's another formatter, Go FUMT, or FUMPT, which has a stricter, this is a superset of rules, so it formats more code. But if you format with that, the standard formatter will also be happy. And so to get some more feedback, I created a discussion where people can vote. So we see what everybody wants, and it's pretty equal, with one vote more on Go FMT at the moment. If anybody here has opinion in either direction, then please vote. Otherwise, I guess there isn't much else to say about. Right now, the majority would be on Go FMT, so my recommendation would be that we use that consistently in our repos. But I can also wait a bit longer if other people want to vote.
When would you like the voting invite, Paul?
I don't really know. We can leave it open for another week or so. I don't know. It's open for 3 weeks now, but yeah. I mean, if somebody has arguments in either direction, they can also bring them forward.
Yeah, personally, I'd suggest keeping it open through this week and then close it off Friday night.
Okay, I'll jump in. One of the things I appreciate about the more opinionated one is that it makes sure that octal constants are flagged are marked clearly as octal constants, which, given that we have to deal with file permissions, is very helpful when looking at source code, at least for me.
Yeah, the octal format is definitely easier to read when scrolling through the file compared to distinguish between the integer. So I agree that's certainly useful. I could look if there are so many Linda rules, I could see if there is a way to have that without requiring Go FUMT as well.
I would also add that early on we had difficulty getting people to run the standard formatter. It is a thing I think people got over and got used to.
Yeah, right now the problem I see, the problem is in both directions, right? You have the crowd of people who run the standard formatter, and if you require the opinionated, then that leads to more CI failures and repushes, and you need to install that other one and so on. The other way around, how we originally, I guess, the discussion originally started is some people run the opinionated formatter, and then you get a PR which has like 100 lines changed in a file where they only touched like a single thing. That's also quite bad for reviewing, and a point where I reject the PR and ask them to not do that. But that's especially the bigger the PRs goes, the harder that is to like back out and so on. It's a bit tricky.
So, I don't know if you have, but I'm happy to go ahead and socialize this a little bit on Twitter and such, and get some stuff out to the email list. And if you are happy with concluding it this Friday or some other date, I can add that into it.
Sure. The question is sort of like ideally maintainers and contributors answer this question. If you don't contribute, you don't really.
Yeah, you don't want just somebody, random X guy, hopping in and blasting the survey.
Yeah, I doubt that happens, but it's like.
In that case, you've set it up in discussions, right? So people should have seen it if they're interested, and that would be where the maintainers are at. So do you want to just add perhaps another reply to that discussion saying, hey, we're going to close this as of such and such date there, and then we'll go with it from there?
Sure. So end of week then, or?
Yeah, that's what I'd suggest. So that would be 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. I'm doing date math, right?
Yeah. We can do it Monday. Like if we do end of week, we won't act on it anyway over the weekend. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Tell people to get it done by the end of the day on the 7th, and then we'll tally it up on Monday.
Sounds good. Okay, I guess then I just jump into the next topic.
Yes, please.
Okay, let me share the screen for that. So basically, to start with some context, as part of Podman 6, we want to rework how we do config file parsing, where the main goal is to consolidate the parsing logic in order to have our various config files behave the same. So the like storage.conf, registries.conf, and like containers.conf. Currently, they all are different, which is not good. And I haven't, I'm working on a design doc for that, and then I will make that public and feedback can be provided there. But as part of investigating a bit of that, I found a difference in behavior between how Podman currently handles drop-in files or like overrides, and how other software does that. For example, systemd, and they have published a specification for that even, and the URP crew. And so you see my screen now, right?
Yep, looks good.
Okay. So for that, basically, I made an example here with 4 config files. So we have the user share containers.conf. That's generally the config file intended for the vendor or like the package to ship. So the RPM or Debian package, they should ship to that location. Then we have the etc location, that is where administrators should put it to overwrite stuff. And then there's even a home location that I'm not using here, like a per user in the home dir. And so if you, like the Podman way is currently, it reach every single file in the right order. So from user to etc to home. And then it just reads it and overwrites the individual files that it passed. So now the current Podman way, so in these 4 files that we have here, we have the main containers.conf and user, and then we even have a drop-in here. And then the etc one, and then the, yeah. So, and I even did it wrong. That happens if you just guess it. So basically what happens is in the Podman way, it reads like the user share one, or actually currently that's a bit of a lie. Currently the user location doesn't even read the .d drop-in files, but that's an easy fix that I'm gonna add anyway. And it doesn't take away from this example because you could still have this example with the home dir. And so the reason I bring it up, as you can see in the result, that the config files are parsed, and it results in a vastly different config between 2 approaches. And it's sort of difficult for me to see what is the better approach. So with the way Podman does it, parsing everything, and then just adding basically each setting we pass. So it starts with the, sets field A, B here from the top level, and then it sets those here, and then it sets these ones, and then it reaches the empty file where it doesn't set anything. While with the URP specification, it basically checks the file names and it doesn't parse the same file name twice. So it would recognize we have a containers.conf here in etc. So we ignore the user location completely. So it would only read this file. And then for the drop-ins, the same way, because the drop-in is named the same. So it would, like the base name, like it would look up these names. If you provide a different name, it would parse that again, regardless of user etc. That's fine. But if they are the same name, it only parses the one with the highest priority, basically. And that comes with an advantage that you can unset config files. So because we provided an empty file here, we effectively nullify this file here. And with the Podman approach, you would need to know what the original defaults for field C and D are and have to set them again. And that's basically the main difference, that this URP approach allows you to easily like unselect or like ignore a certain provided config. So if you want to have it, like if your RPM provides a user share location, like containers.conf with certain defaults you don't like, you want actual Podman defaults that are compiled in the binary, and you could just put an empty file here, for example, in this location, and that would work. With the current way, you would basically either you delete the user share location, which you don't want to do if it comes with a RPM, right? It's going to get replaced again. Or maybe you cannot even do that because that's an OS3 based system with a read-only user, right? Like it's, so the current Podman way, I think, has more disadvantages in that aspect. So I tend to see the advantage of this URP way to do this, or the systemd way. And that's basically where I am right now, and just looking for feedback from others if they have opinions.
Tom, is there a raise hand here somewhere? I'm not seeing it in Zoom.
If
So
you're
I'm
in
just gonna.
It's in the React actually. There's a, or should be a
Oh,
React button in there.
yeah. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna jump in. I vote for the +1 for the current Podman way for a couple of reasons. I deal with embedded partners, and changing that now would be really bad. One question is, in the current Podman way, if you set field underscore B equals null, will Podman actually go with that and remove that value?
Sorry, you mean like something like this?
Or just empty string?
Yeah, that will not work. No, like it will
Okay.
set to the yeah, no,
Like if you
that cannot work basically. Yeah.
if you just do quote or single quote. No.
Yeah, that would result in an empty string as the config value. Then it like the way the parser works, like code wise, it would be pretty much impossible to implement this in a reasonable way.
Okay. That just curious, really. But
Yeah.
the way we currently do it with drop-ins and only overriding specific things, I think is the best way. I understand your point, but we already have many people in the field, doing it a certain way, and I think it would be really disruptive to change that at this point. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, like that's a fair point. The reason I bring that up, because as I mentioned earlier, one of the points is to consolidate the parsing logic between our different files, such as storage.conf, registry.conf, and they today behave in a way that they don't behave like the URP way recommends, but they behave more similar to that. That if you have the etc location, they would they only read one file basically. So they would only read the etc location and ignore the user share. So for those things, it gravitates more towards these. But for containers.conf, this is certainly the current Podman way I wrote down. So I understand your point. Keeping the backwards compatibility is definitely a huge argument for that.
Okay, and just I deal a lot with embedded, and just off the top of my head, setting 12 or 15 values in Etsy containers conf, and then on a per installation basis, being able to drop something into containers conf d for 2 values is big, because then you're not having to put everything together and drop in a complete new file in containers conf d.
No. Okay, maybe I wasn't clear on the URP way then, or what my example is, but like this will still work. So if there are drop-ins, those will still be added on top of these. So basically,
okay, single values.
Basically
single
on the
values.
Yeah. Like the file based on the file names, basically. Let's say that, right? So since we have twice the containers.conf, it would only consider the latest here. But the drop-in is a second one, a second name, so it would actually read that and then add these values. Like if I ignore, if we delete this one here, the etc one, I would add these fields here to the result. So it would become like C7 and the D8 if
Okay.
we
Or
remove that. So that definitely still works.
okay. So it's only the empty file that will.
Yeah, it's right. Like the logic is based on the similar file names that don't get passed twice, like on the same thing. So if you rename that here to 2, it will also behave.
So
correctly.
at that point, it would be additive, not
Yeah,
okay.
multiple
Okay.
drop-ins are always additive, like with different names.
Okay. Well, 6 of 1 then. Okay, thanks.
We also have a question in the chat. Jerry's in a loud spot. He can't ask it himself. So he was asking, is analogously, and I'm going to mess that word up terribly because I can't pronounce it. Is this something similar to being done to storage.conf? In particular, on OpenShift, there isn't a way to add override fields in storage.conf.
Correct. So this is what we are trying to fix. Whatever I end up proposing should apply the rules for the same way for storage.conf, for registry.conf, containers.conf. So, and maybe some other config files I'm forgetting. So with Podman 6, we will have like, yeah, I think like the drop-in behavior is pretty much, I think everybody can agree with that drop-ins are useful. So I'm pretty sure that will end up being there for storage.conf.
Thank you. Ready, any other questions?
Yeah, a quick question. Today morning in the Podman dev channels, someone asked about a seccomp profile changes in the containers.conf. Is this related to that, or can we add that one, or is it possible to add it?
That's not related really. Like right now, I'm just defining the order of passing these files and reading these files. And adding these values in these files is still up to the individual fields. Like if it's a string, if it's an integer, if it's an array of strings or whatever like that, that's still up to the format. And these files are all TOML format right now, so it follows basically the TOML specification for setting individual fields.
Sounds good.
Any further questions? While working folks look for an update for this. Are you going to be putting up PRs or issues or something to that effect?
I'm writing a design doc and then I will upload this as a PR to the design docs directory we have in the repo. And then we can discuss on the PR.
Okay. Last call for Paul. Matt, did you have something you want to talk about here?
Sure. So this is just real brief. This will be our usual solicitation for more maintainers and more contributors. We are definitely looking to expand as a project, and part of this expansion is just getting more people to help out with the project. We're obviously glad to see PRs, but at this point, I would also love to see people stepping up to help with code review, We're definitely looking for maintainers in addition to the ones we have right now, just trying to increase the number of people doing reviews, increase the number of upstream contributions. So yeah, if anyone here has any interest in that, please, you don't even need to reach out to us. If you want to, feel free to do it on the Matrix channel. But if you want to just start doing code reviews, start dropping PRs, that is perfectly welcome, and we would love to have you.
Okay. I think that is all the topics that we had for today. Does anybody have anything they want to discuss themselves?
Yeah, just a small update. As you all know, we are part of CNCF, and a CNCF ambassador is giving a talk on Podman. It's a live streamed event on YouTube, which is happening on Thursday at noon Eastern time. I have linked in the chat to the event details. Please take a look, and if you have time, please do so attend.
Great, thank you. I'll add that to the meeting notes too. Any other topics or discussions we want to go over? While we're thinking about that, I will go through the next community meetings and Cabal meetings. Our next Cabal meeting is January 6, 2026, which seems hard to believe already. And our next community meeting will be on December 2nd. Even though the agenda says otherwise, I'll change this up. Both of those will be at 11 a.m. Eastern time and not daylight time anymore, but standard time as we've moved over. And last call. Otherwise, I will thank everybody for coming and thank Paul and Matt and Mohan and others who've chatted today for their help and participation. Right. I think that's it, folks. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you all.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Was it lying about the